If you've watched TJ Shorts before, you've probably been amazed by his game already. If you haven't, you're going to be surprised at how much of an impact he's having in the second biggest league in the world for Paris basketball. He's top 3 in EuroLeague in points and assists, and has also led Paris to the #1 seed during their first season, after a lot of people said that he'd never succeed at this level. That's insane. And one of my favorite parts about TJ's game is how unpredictable he is. He's not as physical as other small guards, nor does he shoot that many threes, which makes him even more fun to study because defenses know that he's getting into middies or to the rim most times, and coming off ball screens, considering that he uses the pick and roll pretty much more than anyone on earth, and still can't stop him because he's so good at adjusting to whatever the defense throws at him. So if you're looking to develop a crazy level of craftiness, IQ, and adaptability, especially as a smaller guard, this video is a must watch. And if you're a small guard looking to absolutely transform your game, check out the Small Guards Essential program through the link in the description. So first, let's discuss his ability to get downhill and finish at the rim. And one of the first things you'll notice is that he uses his surroundings very well. Of course, he's quick enough to get by defenders one-on-one, but he's constantly using the confusion and chaos around him to create an easier advantage. This is often in the form of ghost screens, which create a bit of miscommunication and gives him a nice window to attack when the defender's a bit off guard, or rejecting screens as well.
4 of 6 from the stripe. It's a 1-point lead.
But it could also be something like this, where the defender's expecting an entry pass to the post, so he uses his eyes to get him up, which makes it easier to get by. Even here, this ball screen switch gets this defender's top foot up and momentum a bit forward, just even briefly, which isn't much, but makes a huge difference in him being able to blow by pretty easily. And even as he's driving downhill, he often uses his ceiling teammate as essentially a screen to create an easy lane to the rim for a wide open layup. Also during this driving phase, he uses being smaller to his advantage, partially by bumping upwards like this, but also by constantly slipping by their hips and sneaking through small spaces, and by being super maneuverable or being able to take tight angles like this to slide around defenders. It's a benefit of being a smaller guard. You also notice how much he finishes off 1 foot, which is rare for a smaller guard, especially in EuroLeague with less spacing, but he does it very well. First off, he uses his speed to continue his separation, so even if he has a bit of a step on a defender, rather than jumping up, he's often jumping forwards or horizontally, which allows him to keep his speed and makes it tough for the defender to get to it. With this, he's constantly getting max extension in a number of ways, whether it's floating in the air to generate more extension, or really rotating to extend out. He's also extremely unpredictable as he keeps defenders guessing by switching hands, jumping different directions, jumping off either foot to throw off their timing, and a lot more, which is a must if you want to be able to get these shots off comfortably around the trees. And partially why he isn't a big finisher off of 2 feet is because he actually doesn't seek much contact around the rim. Usually when he would have the opportunity to drive in and maybe go up and create contact with the defender, he'll actually either kick it out to an open teammate or use a runner or a short jumper, which are his bread and butter, and he's super creative with his footwork here to go off of either one, quickly stopping on a dime and avoiding going up with footers every drive. If you think about it, you probably got a better chance of success with a nice floater than going up and bumping a 7-footer in the air. Then on his mid-range shots, he's insane at what I call dusting defenders. In other words, elevating into the air so quickly that they get left in the dust. Like this. If you're a smaller guard and can get really good at this, it opens up a lot for you because now defenders are essentially out of the play on the ground as you're up in the air releasing the shot. And the biggest key here is getting their hips turned with full intent to cut you off or stop you from getting to the rim. Because it takes a while to plant, turn back, and then jump back the other way to contest or block this shot. So you got to make them feel like your goal is to get there with an intentful downhill attack, and then obviously be able to pop off the ground quickly, especially with his second foot. And that's why these speed changes before this duster are so valuable, because they relax, and then when you explode, they go, oh shit, I have to take a big jump to beat him to that spot. And then you stop before that spot and beat them into the air. It's beautiful to watch. Now on these slightly closer middies, he's really good at rotating in the air and hanging a bit to find stillness. So even if he's turned more towards the corner at first, he's able to really kick this leg and then for a quick second stabilize himself here before releasing the shot, and this helps him shoot this at a really high clip. Other times though, he uses a simple fake, which is tough to not jump on because of how well he shoots these shots and how quickly he gets into the air. So once again, his unpredictability here is on another level.
To get Napier off the floor, off his feet.
Now let's talk a little bit about how he navigates the pick and roll, mainly in the context of scoring it. First off, Paris has done a really good job of getting creative with ball screen entries, as well as twisting screens to make it tough to get over it and also to get out on that hedge in time. Or even just to attract the defender's attention and throw him off, because neither defender really knows which way he's going to come off the screen, and it's tough for them to anticipate and be perfectly on time to cover it, which means he's constantly getting a quick advantage coming off of these. Then, as he does come off, he's super patient. First off, in terms of reading what this big will do. Do they switch? Do they try to recover? This takes a little second to get a feel for, and so many players come off ball screens so fast that they never really allow this to happen. And sometimes being patient will actually reward you by creating miscommunication as defenders try to figure this out, which leads to easy buckets. Other times, he's really adamant on getting to the other side of the roller, which usually means being patient enough to have them get ahead of him, holding off his man, and then getting back inside into unoccupied space. Especially when the big sets a Gortat screen like this, it's tough to stop.
Body well. He's just short. Gets the defender on his back. Kicks it
And lastly, his passing. First off, and probably the most important thing you'll notice here, is that he makes the majority of his passes from the border of the paint. In other words, along the lane lines or free throw line. Of course, getting a deep paint touch to the middle of the paint is good and great for demanding attention from help defenders. Many times, getting right here on the lane lines is really all that's needed and prevents getting too deep into the paint amongst the trees where it may be a tougher, further pass to deliver. You even see here we can absolutely take another dribble. He has a space, but this pass is already open, so we passed it right on the lane line before he gets into the key. And I guarantee you, especially as a smaller guard, if you make getting to these lane lines a priority, you'll expand your ability to create for your teammates and limit turnovers. Next, you'll often see TJ take advantage of strong side gravity. So as he comes off a ball screen, defenses are so worried about him getting downhill that this gap defender will often step over to prevent a drive, and he'll make this quick kick over for a nice in-rhythm shot. This is something that I always wonder why it doesn't happen more, and the guards who look for it and use their eyes to draw this defender over a bit can really rack up assists here.
Short, rotates it to Jantinen.
Also, Paris is very big on advanced passes and getting it up the court quickly with the pass, which is another very underutilized way to get easy dimes, especially with teammates who are on the same page. You'd be surprised at how many teammates are open when you're in the backcourt or right past half court. Now, if he does end up dribbling court in transition, he uses a strategy that I'm huge on, getting across the court a bit to attract more defenders. If he were to dribble in a straight line here, he's only getting gravity from players in his way or in his lane. By getting some speed down the court and then moving a bit angled across the court, these defenders all turn and collapse towards him a bit, which opens up lobs, kicks, and easy dimes all around. Worst case, they don't stop him and he gets an easy bucket. Now, for his pass to the roll on ball screens, which is definitely a high percentage of his dimes, and something he's had to develop special techniques for due to being a bit smaller. First off, notice the timing, and once again, patience. He doesn't make it right away, but waits for his big to turn and get a bit of momentum on their roll, as well as now waiting for this big to show what he's doing like we talked about earlier. He also jumps a lot here, which many times is coached out of players, but for somebody like him, who's significantly shorter than defenders, it's a way to get a higher release angle to ensure it doesn't get deflected. And with this, he'll many times adjust this angle in air like you see here to get it through a window of space. And lastly, his eyes. He's constantly controlling the defense by looking at one option and then making the pass to another. It's an elite way to create the read that you want, rather than always waiting for and depending on the defense to react. So hopefully you guys learned something. If you haven't watched TJ play, definitely check them out. It's a super fun team to watch. Honestly, a nice little mix of NBA style basketball where they play fast, shoot a lot of threes, with European basketball, of course. As always, appreciate you guys for tuning in. We'll see you on the next video.